First off, I wanted to thank you guys for all the support recently. Seeing each video do well and all the feedback has been really motivating. Today's video is pretty different from my usual stuff. I'm talking about Western comics today. It's just going to be a pretty rough pre-write of Avengers Doomsday. Everything surrounding this film has felt pretty duct taped together. The way the trailers are done so far, and all these characters being included without a coherent plan. It's shaping up to be a mess. The main problem, I think, is that almost everything after Endgame has been a blur, and it hasn't really been tied together well enough. There have been no connecting threads, and no way to discern how everything will happen. Basically, compared to Infinity War, it feels like fan theories are far less coherent here, because there's no build-up. At the same time, that's not a guarantee that it's going to be terrible. They might just ignore 90% of the stuff post-Endgame and just go with it. The film after Doomsday is going to be called Secret Wars, and I expect a lot of elements to be pulled from the 2015 comic, just based off of how popular the visuals are by themselves. People who haven't even read Secret Wars have seen a lot of popular panels. The easiest way to predict what will happen is to keep it simple. My main idea is that this and Secret Wars are just going to be Infinity War and Endgame, but on a bigger scale. Exact same basic story beats, cameos galore, some characters will show up for 2 minutes and be turned into jobbers as a surprise. Now, immediately, the base idea is that everyone loses in Doomsday. I think we all know this. We're going to see some crazy feats from Doom, crazier than we saw with Thanos. It's just those two movies scaled up. My strongest fan theory, and this one you can invest in, is that this movie will feature the Thanos spine rip from the comics. Everyone knows about that, so it will happen. Since it concerns the multiverse, they can really put it anywhere in the movie. I've looked up fan theories that say Doctor Doom is after superpowered children, or is trying to stop incursions. One popular take is that the running theme of the entire saga has been children who were never meant to exist. But, like I said, all the post-Endgame stuff is a total mess. A big reason for that is because they failed to set Kang up properly. The only thing I can say for sure is that Franklin Richards must be involved. So, I'm going to give you guys a general overview on my version of Doomsday, starting right about now. Like I said before, the basic structure is going to be very similar to Infinity War. We can't expect some sort of 4D chess play with this plot or with Doom as a character. So a lot of these fan theories are a bit overcomplicated. I think they expect too much. The movie, right off the bat, has to solve one massive issue. It's got to set Doom up immediately, and at the same time has to get rid of all the Kangs to basically kill off that plot point. So, just like with the opening of Infinity War, the opening of Doomsday is Doctor Doom just incinerating the entire Council of Kangs. Alternatively, we open this movie up with Doom already standing amongst their remains. Now, there are two ways the movie shows Doctor Doom in terms of his costume. Option 1 is that they never show Robert Downey Jr.'s face, not even once. He plays Doom like a totally different character, and there are no references to Iron Man. It's taken seriously. This would actually be surprising considering how they announced RDJ's casting. Option 2, which I think is more likely, is that he's wearing the outfit, but we're able to see it's RDJ with some burn marks multiple times throughout the movie. Also, other characters, especially Spider-Man, will frequently comment about how he looks a lot like Tony Stark. In this opening, and really throughout the movie, we should see Doom have Franklin Richards with him, given Franklin has reality warping powers, and we saw Doom meet him in the Fantastic Four after credits. I think that Franklin will function as the Infinity Stones or Gauntlet in this movie. He's the MacGuffin, the main source of power, and is what everyone is after. My pre-write has a few examples of things that I think could actually work if done correctly, and this is going to be one of them. Since this movie is bringing the X-Men and older heroes in, they should set something up where these older films take place in different times. Not just different timelines, but different eras. For example, it would be amazing to have Tobey's Spider-Man live in an eternal 2000s, or the X-Men do something similar. So when we see them, the color grading and all that should replicate the look and feel of their movies, really make it clear that these are different worlds running on their own timelines. Just to reiterate, I don't think that Doctor Doom is after the children. That's not going to be a plot point here. Steve Rogers was shown to have a kid in that mid-teaser trailer, but I bet that's just the writers raising the stakes for him personally. He's back, but he has a kid now, a very simple thing. When it comes to that fan theory, Other than First Steps, the other movies never explicitly set the idea up of Doom hunting superhero children like they did with Thanos for the Infinity Stones. Nothing like this was even hinted at back when the original villain was Kang. So, here's a very simple motivation for Doom in this movie. He just wants to get rid of all heroes everywhere. Make the entire multiverse in the image of Doom. He believes all of time and space under his rule is just plain better, that he could legitimately improve things. And I don't think this is that far off from his comic counterpart. He legitimately sees himself as a hero, and in some visions of the future, he actually improves things. Another good way to immediately set Doom up as a threat is that he should show up on screen first thing with some trophies taken from other hero variants. We know nothing about Kang, first of all, and he was defeated by a bunch of ants in his first appearance. He means nothing. So, instead they could have Doom hold a Captain America variant's head when he first appears. I'm taking this from an Endgame deleted scene where they were going to do this to set Thanos up as an extremely dangerous opponent. And it would be a way to make Doom a big threat and set up the fact that he's going to be against Steve Rogers in this film. You solve multiple problems in one go with visual storytelling. Remember that for some reason, it's not Reed versus Doom here. So after killing the Council, his first major act in Doomsday is establishing himself for real in the audience's eyes, by killing a universe. The first target is one of the old universes, one that we are nostalgic for. I don't think they're going to do an MCU variant, because Multiverse of Madness already tried the MCU variant deaths, and it really has no impact in the mind. It has to be something older. Given No Way Home's success, nostalgia is the main thing that has real pull now, so it's the main reason people are going to this and Secret Wars. So if the writers really want to get the audience invested and get the feelings going, the Raimiverse is a great target. Tobey's Peter Parker is going to be involved either here or in Secret Wars from what I heard, and this is a great way to bring him into the story while making Doom a big deal and a source of audience hatred. One idea I have is that Doom plans to use the Kang technology, the universe hop, and with that, he also uses Franklin Richards to either erase individual people or whole universes. Alternatively, he's going to use Franklin to activate incursions or control where they're aimed at in some way. Using the incursions themselves as a weapon by just letting them happen could also be interesting. Again, the multiverse has never had a consistent sort of setup, no consistent lore here. Each movie treats it differently. So the writers can really do whatever they want in Doomsday. Someone from the MCU should already know that all this is happening. The entire thing should be in motion when we're introduced to it. The Fantastic Four, or maybe just Reed Richards, has been going around warning people about the incursions, or specifically about Doom and what he's trying to do, since the beginning of the movie. Another thing taken from Secret Wars, the comic, Reed should use a multiversal lifeboat to save heroes from other worlds while their Earths fall apart. This is how they will be escaping Doom throughout the film, since he's able to universe hop in my version of things. So after saving Tobey, Reed or the F4 hop to the X-Men universe. The teams have to be brought together pretty quickly or alerted to Doom's presence very early on in the movie, otherwise given how cluttered it is, the setup is going to be a disaster. There's just too many people involved here, and the writers cannot afford to take their time with this. So a lot of this is going to be happening before we even get past the logos. So after we see the Raimi universe destroyed, we jump to the X-Men universe. This is either already wrecked when we first encounter it, or is actively being destroyed by Doom the first time we see it. Only some survivors make it on board Reed's ship, probably Cyclops, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine. Professor X and Magneto will be shown, only for a bit, to stand up to Doom while the others escape. This is partially because both actors are quite old now, and the fights which involve holding Doom off to aid the rest of the X-Men's escape will probably be the greatest displays of power from Charles and Magneto, which will help to present Doom as even more impressive. Everything is a Doom upscale here. The vibe I want for every single fight involving Doom is Doctor Strange versus Thanos. Doom is a master of tech and magic, and one visual I've had stuck in my head ever since hearing about Doom coming to the MCU is him using green versions of the Doctor Strange magic. I'm not sure if they'll actually do this, but considering RDJ is Doom, the tech side may look very similar to the Iron Man stuff we've seen throughout the films. like repulsor blasts and flying around with jet boots. Given the whole trend with suits in these movies, here is a more pessimistic take I have. To show RDJ's face, they might have his suit or his mask be nanotech. He'll be able to take the mask off and on at will. RDJ might not even be scarred, they'll just explain it as him hiding his true face, underneath sort of a facade. A horrible but plausible choice is to make him a Stark variant. Everyone was making jokes about this, like when the heroes stop for a second and are stunned and they ask if he's Tony Stark. Again, I'm trying to write this while taking into account that it's sort of a whole rushed sort of thing. Now moving back to the actual hypothetical plot. Most X-Men are going to be dead by now, right? But a few are saved. Around the midpoint of this film, everyone is going to be rallied back to the main MCU. That is the main stage. We've already had the obligatory hero versus hero fights, and once everyone sets aside their differences and reaches the main universe, they meet up with Sam Wilson's Avengers and the Thunderbolts and have more witty banter. Remember, this is all just going to be Infinity War on steroids. So drawing more parallels, Reed is going to play the role of Gamora in this movie, someone who is connected to our main villain, who knows them personally, and is our exposition guy. It's just going to be like an exact copy. Tell me his name again, Thanos, he does this and that, describes Doom and his feats, and the history between him and the Fantastic Four, how fighting Doom was always a close call. Now that the heroes are all set up together, the big question is how they're going to get Steve Rogers. Judging by the teaser trailer, it looks like he's still in the 1940s, right after Endgame. So, this goes one of two ways. Either this whole movie and Secret Wars both take place while Steve is returning the stones, which is very unlikely, or this is just a Captain America variant who went through the events of all the movies. That way, the Russos have a win-win. Steve gets his ending, but they can also bring him back in a way. Just like with Logan in Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe someone from these other universes has access to time travel tech, or they get the version from Endgame involved again. But they all decide they need someone to rally around, someone who everyone agrees is the best leader they know. And yes, I think the other universes might have their own versions of Cap for maximum glaze. So, someone goes back to collect Captain America, maybe Wolverine or Toby so they can milk fan reactions. He's reluctant to return at first, but when he hears these heroes' pleas, hears that their worlds and families are gone, he knows he has to protect his own. Now, this part can actually be good. Once again, for the greater good, Steve Rogers must walk away from Peggy Carter. He's going into the ice again, jumping forwards in time and sacrificing his time with her again, except now he's leaving his kid behind too. So he should be super motivated to fight Doom, if for nothing else, just for the sake of getting back home. That should be Steve's ultimate goal here. So now, everyone is together in the present in the MCU. Doom is on his way there, annihilating everything in his path on the way. We see short snippets of other universes die, like with the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths. You get little cameos from fan casts or older portrayals, but the main through line with how they do Doom in this movie is that nothing can stop him. This entire movie has to have Dr. Doom showing off how strong and how skilled he is. We're doing all of this in a single film. There have been no examples like with Guardians of other characters cowering before him, right? He's unbeatable in a straight up fight and has access to a reality warping child's powers. At the time of writing this, the only other trailer that's been put out is the one with Thor praying in the woods. I think Thor fans are going to really have a good time with his portrayal in this film since we're back to Infinity War level Thor. Unfortunately, they acknowledge the existence of Love and Thunder, but I'm sure that the girl, Love, shows up once and never again since they don't really want people thinking about it here. So, where does the Thor praying scene fit in this film? Why is he praying? I think this is going to happen right before the third act of the film kicks off. By this point, Doom will have wrecked a good 90% of the multiverse. He reaches the MCU now, one of the last places standing, and the first location he lands in is going to be New Asgard. Everyone there is done for as soon as he reaches it. This is also going to be what sends Thor back into his Infinity War self, because Thor hears about losing his people a second time. Remember, this happened in Ragnarok and Infinity War, and he's been living with his adopted daughter at this point. If the movie does this right, it would be fantastic. We have to think about Doom in the context of the MCU, not how well they adapt him, because everything's different now. What Doctor Doom should be doing throughout this film is sending our heroes back to their Infinity War selves. He's destroying the progress they've made since then, reminding them of their failures, and he should basically be impossible to defeat in this movie. Thor, even with both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, should do absolutely nothing, not even compared to the Thanos fight. Nothing happens. This is another possible thing that causes him to pray. He thinks this is a second Thanos, and he almost beat Thanos in Infinity War, but this time nothing works. So he runs off to the woods to pray for his daughter and himself and all that. Now, even though we're in the third act of this movie by now, there will be no grand battle with Doom here like there was with Thanos. The team-ups to fight him should feel utterly useless, even more useless than the ones in Infinity War. Nothing even slows Dr. Doom down. All that happens is repeated attempts and failures. It's just the heroes finding out they cannot win over and over again, finding new hiding places, trying new team-ups. But Doom has a contingency for every power, because he will have been fighting versions of all these guys throughout the multiverse, throughout this movie, and before the movie started. They have to make Doom a credible threat in one film in a matter of hours, and having him hunt heroes down like it's a slasher flick would be great. He's going through universes with a reality warping baby and time travel tech. Nothing can stop him, and if it does, he just resets it so it never happens. You can't beat him. No matter which universe you go to, he'll find you. Heroes absolutely must die in this film, one by one, picked off. Entire teams should be holding Doom off as the others escape. This is what the entire third act boils down to, everyone running, and nobody can really stop him. Whoever tries is just, gone. So how does this version of Doomsday end? On a basic level, again, exactly like Infinity War, a huge chunk of the cast will be done and gone before the credits roll. Doom doesn't retire to a farm like Thanos does. To really set Secret Wars up, he should be a lot more active and gain some form of infinite power. The film will end with his version of the snap, a huge change to the MCU. Doom's version of this is creating Battleworld, and if we're using Franklin Richards as the MacGuffin, he will tell Franklin to reset reality, or will have somehow stolen Franklin's powers for himself. So however he uses these reality warping powers, the screen goes white like it did with the snap, but this time the surviving characters wake up in a seemingly normal world and they treat their day like basically nothing happened. But as they walk around, they notice strange inconsistencies. Memorable scenes from past movies are redone, but things aren't quite right. For example, you get a Civil War scene, but instead of Tom Holland Spider-Man showing up, it's Tobey. Things are just off. And whoever we follow in this end sequence, because I think it can be one guy, this character breaks through an invisible barrier to enter an entirely different movie universe. So this character that we're following, it can really be anyone, keeps running, keeps breaking through these invisible walls until they realize that this is not Earth at all. The movie's final shot this time will zoom in on God Doom, clad in white, sitting at the base of the World Tree. Maybe have him married to Sue Storm like the comic. Unlike some other fan theories, I don't think Loki should be a factor at all yet. What I think they should do with Loki is show him getting involved in the end credits, just like with Captain Marvel in Infinity War. Again, there are probably going to be a lot of parallels. So, Loki will be one of the deciding factors to save everything from Doom in Secret Wars. Basically, he's going to be their version of Molecule Man from the Secret Wars comic. So this is my very rough, generic draft of how I think Doomsday is likely to work, especially given how the MCU looks right now. In the comments, something I think could be really cool is if you guys could let me know your theories for the film, your own plot theories. I think if you have higher hopes for this film, also let me know. If you think it's gonna suck, say so. So generally, I hope the comments is just a field of fan theories. If you enjoyed my pre-write, you can add details to it, or change steps or something like that. So yeah, just kind of give your version of the movie in the comments down below. Once again, to end this video, thank you all so much for the recent support. It's been really great. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Put your fan theories down below, and see you all next time.